confidence doesn't like precede the action, it follows it. So you're not all of a sudden gonna get the confidence to be like, all right, I'm ready. There's never a right moment, there's never a perfect time, you'll never have enough time. And so I kept thinking like, oh my gosh, would I rather have the regret of not doing it all, or the lesson to say, wow, I'm so lucky that I got to try that, learn it, and know that this is or isn't it. And it was scary as heck though.
Something funny about this scene, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm in Oprah's house. I don't know what it is.
We're so close to be.
Like I don't even know, I wouldn't even know that in the first place. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know her that well. I feel
that
like
well.
I just feel like this scene just feels like I'm on.
That's
like I'm
so
in
funny.
Oprah's living room or something.
Yeah.
It's like so perfect.
I'm so glad.
Is that bad? Is that good?
I think that's a huge compliment. I accept that.
Okay. Let's start off with a compliment.
Slightly OCD, so.
No, you don't say. Are you sure? I mean,
my poor husband was like, oh God.
He's like, well, you're doing this tomorrow? I know what this means.
Oh, no, just like my OCD.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, he's the one who's like, just go for it, babe.
He's about it.
Like, yeah,
oh, yeah.
He's the one who's like, buy the camera, I'll figure it out. And then that's why I had to hire a social media girl, because like things were off or I wasn't in the center of the couch, and I'm like, or at a flyaway, I'm like, mother effer. We did all that filming and you didn't tell me this? He's like, baby, you look great. And I'm like, fix my hair, damn it.
Yeah, I went through that phase a lot, taking pictures
so funny.
Not quite getting them nailed correctly. Well, it's good to be with you today out here in Dallas.
I know, I'm so excited that you guys came down.
It's like only my second trip to Dallas. I've only come here one other time, and it was for like a work trip when I was in corporate, and we were saw a customer, went to dinner, drank too much alcohol, flew out. And I was like, Dallas seemed cool, but I've never really been there. And it reminds me a little bit of like if Chicago and Austin had a baby.
Yes.
Sort of, like it's kind of got Chicago feels downtown, but then it's kind of got like the Austin suburbs, sort of.
Well, and I came from Chicago, and I was like,
you did?
I've been too cold my whole life. The taxes are insane, and so coming here, it was like you got a mix of Southern hospitality. People were kind of nicer in general, and they were excited that you're here. It was like, oh my gosh, what intros can I make? How can I support you in the ecosystem? And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And we visited once, and I looked at my husband and I said, I have a feeling we need to move to Dallas. Give me 1 year.
I heard that story last night at dinner.
Are you insane? I'm like, yes, but. And now we've been here 4 years, so it worked out.
So if I heard you right, you're saying you just moved here basically blindly?
Absolutely. We didn't know
on a feeling?
Jack. Total
You're
gut
just like,
person.
time to move, let's go to Dallas.
Yeah.
And it was 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And
well, we're kind of figured, we don't have kids yet, so it's like, if we're going to take a chance. Now is the time. There's no excuse to at least try it. We put our house up for rent. We had our little backstop of like, we don't like it, we like it. And then my business grew so much that figured, no excuse now.
I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I think.
You guys always been in Arizona?
No, so we've moved, I think 15 times. Boop! Quick commercial break. We're about to get into juicy details. I just wanted to let you know, if you engage in my content, if you subscribe to my page, I look at every single one. And I'm here to serve, not to sell. I'm out here trying to help and teach people what's worked for me in scaling my agencies. Thanks for listening.
15?
Yeah, and it's a long story, but I'll make it a short story. So my wife and I met in high school. I was a senior, she was a sophomore, and she needed some help in math, so I was tutoring her.
Yeah.
No, like this is a real story. That's why I said there's details to the story. People always say that. Yeah. And like, honestly, it's a long sequence of events, but I liked her a lot, and she wouldn't give me the time of day. So I found another angle. That's what the Hypeman does. I didn't know it at that time, but like I found another angle. And I somehow came to the awareness that she was a straight A student. She wore this pink little crop top, cut off jeans. Oh, I literally remember like it was yesterday. Anyway, so I came to the awareness that like she was a straight A student, sat in the front of the class, OCD, okay? Her notes were
perfect.
So beautiful. And then I sat in the back of the class in the corner, and so I somehow came to the awareness that like she was this great student, and in that class for some reason she was getting like a C, And I must have known because this just like irked her. So I came to the awareness of that, and I was getting an A in the class. I don't know how. Like, I was not trying. And so she wouldn't talk to me. And so one day I was just like, hey, do you need help with math? And she's like, yes, I would love help with math. And I was like, okay, well, I'll tutor you. And then she thought I was lying, I guess. So I came over to her house for the first time with my books in hand. And she like looked at me and she was like, wait, you're here to like, you were serious? You're actually gonna like study? And I was like, yes. And then she was like, okay. I'm like, get your stuff out, let's go. So we studied for like hours. And then we did that like 2 or 3 times. And I just kept showing back up studying with her. And then we just became friends, best friends. Like, we were just locked in. And then so eventually, yeah, asked her out.
She was in, she was hooked.
So we started young, to give you all that context. And we grew up in a small town. We were like old people, you know, like very mature, and we were just like ready for life to happen. So we ended up going to college together. We worked at the same place, her family's business. And then we decided to have kids really young. So we got married early. We started having kids at like 23 and 21. And we were like in this cozy tucked away spot in San Diego, had the house, all the stuff. 2008, 9, 10, 11 roll around. And the company I was working for got acquired, and the other company was headquartered in San Francisco. And I was like, I see this like a train coming. And so sure enough, we got offered a job to move up there. And we were like so comfy. We had just had our second. And we basically were forced to move. I couldn't find a job in San Diego. So that like started this, that was a catalyst for really like one of the best things that ever happened to me. I saw this as like, holy shit, this is gonna be terrible. Like, we're in San Diego. Like, we never even imagined going to San Francisco. Like, we had never even traveled there. We just, like, we're so comfy where we were, and this just like popped our bubble. And it was really hard, but we ended up learning so much and experiencing the world, even though it was like, we just moved a few times around the state. So we were in San Francisco for 6 years. We ended up moving up there and basically like raising our kids there. For my youngest, he's like, he kind of feels like San Francisco's home to him, which is weird for me. And then after like savagely job hopping, trying to I was chasing my entrepreneurship and I didn't know it yet. And I kept switching jobs. So we would like be in one town, and then I worked up in Napa, and we had to move up to Napa. Then I hated that job. So then I got a job in the city, and we had to move back down to like the East Bay and all these things. And I did all the commuting and all the stuff. We ended up moving back down to Orange County because it was so tough up there. We almost made it back to San Diego. We were in Orange County for a while, and then we moved up to Boise to get out of state and like do that experience.
So random.
We had some family.
So how did the agency come into play at like what point that?
Which one?
Ignited your first.
Oh, like when I became an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Well, I think so. We did all those moves, and then COVID happened. That was really the catalyst for entrepreneurship, because at that point, I was at the peak of my career, making the most money that I ever made, running as a CEO for a distribution company. And I just was like, COVID made me realize what I really wanted to do, which is like to help people and to build my own company, because I realized that the only way to have true financial freedom is to be an entrepreneur, to like create your own personal ecosystem, your own personal economy. So it was like all that like change and bursting of the bubble and all this experience we had, and then working for all these corporate jobs. I worked for a lot of assholes. And so finally one day I was just like, I have to go. I have
to go see you.
I was just like, I literally want to create an environment where we can have a small team and everybody thrives. Like genuinely thrives. So we have a strong, no assholes filter in all my companies.
But you didn't have a background in that, so like, how does that even happen?
Well, I think there's 2 parts. So there's the entrepreneurship part, which happens, and then there's like the choice of what you want to do. I think for entrepreneurship, I kind of explained, the financial freedom piece, and then just like being a creator of something, I think was a big part of it. But like choosing the agency side of like, I want to build a company that services another industry, that really was just born out of my spirit of helping other people. That's like kind of my core. That's how I feel on the inside. And then I get to express that through the art of business, that's my creation, that's my sport. And I had worked in the consumer brands industry a lot, and so I thought, well, I know a bunch of people. So I like literally quit my job on a Friday, started the company on a Monday, and I was just dialing for dollars for 2 weeks before I even told my wife I quit my job.
Stop.
Dialing for dollars.
Why haven't I heard this story before? What the heck? That's awesome.
I don't tell this story a lot. Because it was just like, it was a crazy period. It was during COVID, and it was like, I almost felt a little like blacked out. Like it was just like, I need to go do this thing.
What did you tell yourself? I have to make or do X amount in 2 weeks before I'm like actually ready to tell her this.
So
now we're getting somewhere.
The way I ended up, like what got me over the hump of quitting and starting was I had this like just phrase that I downloaded, like it just like came to me. It was a feeling I had. And the phrase was, and I don't know where it came from, the phrase was fortune favors the bold. And it just like hit me one day, like wrote it in my journal, and I was like, whoa, that's a strong phrase. I feel really called to do this. And I was like battling it. I remember I went to the beach like 2 different times and meditated, staring at the ocean for like 1 to 2 hours, just like staring, visualizing, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna build? What is this gonna look like? This is scary. I have a family at home. I have 2 kids I gotta feed. Like my wife's mostly a stay-at-home mom. Like it's on me. How could you quit your job at the peak of your career and go start something from scratch, you know? And so fortune favors the bold was just like, that really got me over. So when I started that first day, I literally just dialed for dollars.
There was no metric where you were like, okay, I'm gonna hit this and I'm gonna be...
I wouldn't say I had like a specific, my goal was to replace my income. And within...
In 2 weeks?
Yes. It was, and so I replaced it in 4, which was good, or 3-ish. Like contract-wise, like I signed a lot of deals. You know, I went on to sign over $5 million in deals during that period when we were building. That was definitely one of my specialties, was just like finding opportunities in the market, having great conversations with people, and really serving, not selling. Just like, hey, we're good at some stuff. Like literally, we were doing 4 different things. We had finance, accounting, supply chain. We did data projects, because I did some SQL programming back in the day. Nobody probably knows that, but did some like early stage consulting with SQL programming. So we did data stuff. We were doing all sorts of things. So when I was calling people, I mean, I've been in that agency time, when we first started, I had been on contract to be a fractional CEO for a client, a fractional CRO, COO, all 3 of them for different clients during that first phase. And the first 2.5 years was just like, make more money, which I did. And then after it was like, make more money for a while, I was like, damn, I'm busy. Like, this is a lot.
So when you told your wife, what did she say? You skipped over a lot of details. Yeah. Really important details that the people want to know.
Yeah, she was, that's fair. She was scared, but then I think that's when the hype train really started. It was like, no, you don't get it. Like you don't understand what we're building. This is gonna be beautiful. And so having those conversations with her to like bring her along to the vision that I saw for our future, to be able to live a life that we designed. Like that's really what I tell a lot of people, is like, whatever you want to do, whatever you plan to do, just do it in a way where you get to design how you live. So today, being an entrepreneur, my wife's an entrepreneur. We homeschool our kids, who today are 16 and 14. They're both entrepreneurs. My 16-year-old has a nonprofit for service dogs, and my son has a digital marketing company in the exotic car industry and luxury real estate. So it's just yeah, you know, and that just like all that combination gives us this canvas to work with all the time, and we have financial freedom. We have control of our schedule. We're in control of their schedule now, so we get to travel and come to places like Dallas on a Thursday, and my son's with me, and he's getting to see it. You know, that's his school. It's just being out and about and being an entrepreneur, and me being in a position now, finally, not how I grew up, but now I've worked myself to a place where I can invest in him in these experiences and showing him, getting around people like Dan Martell. Like, Dan knows who he is. He invited him to come down here because we were seeing exotic cars. Like, how cool is that? So just like really trying to create those opportunities, which I'll just close with that. Across that whole arc, my mantra for myself is every day better. So you'll see that like in a lot of my social content. We're gonna have t-shirts. Every day better is just like my mantra for, you have to wake up and seize the day. Like Carpe Diem was another download I got early in my youth. And that just morphed into like, man, I literally wake up every day hyped that I woke up. And I'm like, how do I make today, like literally, how do I make today better than yesterday?
Well, it's like that story that I've heard several times in the last couple of days that if I gave you $10 million, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow, would you take the $10 million? No. So waking up is worth more than $10 million. Are you not so excited to live and do all the things? And for me, I'm like, damn it, that is right. Sometimes you need a refresher when you kind of go back to your own sayings and stuff. But I just think of that story a lot too.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. I have a quick list of questions I wanted to ask you. They're attention questions.
Oh, bring it. I also have a similar story, if I can share.
Oh, yeah. Please.
So you quit your job and didn't tell your wife. I'm not on the same wavelength in a sense, but I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I enjoy the pain to a fault, I think. Maybe that's it. But I had this first company. I really had, like all of us, did not know what I was doing. And then I had the opportunity. So after 6 years, I'm like, okay, I'm meeting all these entrepreneurs who are struggling to talk about themselves, what they do, what they need, like they need money. This is like such a pain that I'm seeing over and over and over again. And so I'm getting inquiries from founders to literally help them, like in my DMs while I'm running this other business. So I start a side hustle to this other business. And then my husband is like, oh my gosh, you take the inventory, like burn it out back. I'm like, whoa, man, like I worked 6 years on this. But he's like, you have to coach and help these people. Because I really enjoyed it. And so I decided to sell and exit that company after 6 years. And I didn't even have enough business credit to start this second company. So I, without telling him, used my TJ Maxx credit card to put this down payment of what I needed at the time. And TJ Maxx texts me and is like, oh my God. Like they're like, is this you? And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, like, do I say no?
Don't ask twice.
Because no, honest to God, and I remember exactly where I was. I'm steering my phone all by myself like, uh-oh, what did I just do? And then I was like, you know what? This is kind of like my mini MBA. I'm just gonna go for it, and like, I'll count this as a learning lesson, maybe. Who knows? And I was scared out of my mind. But TJ Maxx, shout out to them for using the credit line of TJ Maxx to literally start this whole business now that I've been in for 5 years, which is crazy.
So it's just good on you for doing that. And that's funny that we kind of share. We share a little bit of.
I eventually told him, and he was like, "You did what?" And I was like, "I'm betting on myself."
And I think it's so true. Like, you have to find that like fire starter, that courage.
Well, it's almost. I mean, because the other quote that I go back to a lot is, "Confidence doesn't like precede the action; it follows it." So you're not all of a sudden gonna get the confidence to be like, "All right, I'm ready." There's never a right moment. There's never a perfect time. You'll never have enough time. And so I kept thinking like, oh my gosh, would I rather have the regret of not doing it all, or the lesson to say, wow, I'm so lucky that I got to try that, learn it, and know that this is or isn't it. And it was scary as heck, though. I'll tell you that.
I love that you mentioned confidence. I feel like I use confidence as insurance for my actions. It's like, it's my way, it's the policy that I agreed to myself prior to creating the action, and after the action, it's like, well, no matter what happens, I'm confident that I'm confident in the action. I'm certain about the uncertainty. And I think you need that confidence really to get started, but I think a lot of us also need that fire starter moment where you're inspired by something, or you meet someone, or you're just like,
or you literally hit rock bottom and don't waste a crisis.
Or you hit rock bottom, yes.
Don't waste a crisis.
Or you work for a lot of assholes, and you're just like, I'm tired of having other people tell me what to do and where to be. I just want freedom. That's cool. Okay, can I ask you some of these? They're just like funny little this or that questions about your world.
Yeah.
So I just thought it'd be fun to like rip some of these on video. And then I want to circle back. I want to ask you about your first company exit and what that experience was like.
Horrible, but I can't wait to tell you.
Oh gosh, see now? Okay, expand. Let's unpack it. You put on the table. We have to unpack it now.
Okay, so I don't know about you. When I started the business, no one told me or warned me in a way of that you should build a business that's always ready to be sold. Like
nobody told you that.
No one told me that when you're thinking through the process of like foundations and things, it's like prepare for exit at any point.
And are you saying that you wish you had had that advice in the beginning?
Absolutely. I wish I had someone to sit, like, I mean, I had people ask, oh, so what are you going to do with the business? And I was like, keep it forever, pass it down to my family. Like, what the heck? I didn't know. Because what I saw was my dad was in the family steel business with his brother. They bought it from my grandfather, their dad. My mom started a bridal store, did that for 26 years with her sister. And so I saw all of these great legacy businesses around me. And
right.
cousins had a, tennis club and like all this stuff. And so I was around a lot of entrepreneurs, and I never was taught or like shown what that means to like build towards high growth and what an exit actually is. The ramifications, what it even means. I mean,
can I ask, like, so I love that you brought that up, and I wouldn't even say necessarily that I'm in that frame of mind all the time. So I would love to just like give me advice on that. Or what would you say to like really any entrepreneur, like how much time do they invest in that initial structure, and should they be thinking about an exit?
Don't cheap out on an attorney and an accountant who knows your industry. Because a couple mistakes that I made is all I knew was, all right, you need an accountant. So I used my mom's accountant from her bridal store who didn't know how to balance the books for a consumer product company doing e-commerce and retail. And so when I went to sell,
not easy, a level 5.
I had to go back 3 years and fix the books on our inventory.
I've seen it. I mean, my first company was an accounting agency. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What a-hole forgot to tell me that part? I mean,
okay, that's fair. But that's accounting. But what about the lawyer and like, what about the structure?
Okay, so even structure-wise, I was fine. But I would say like, I didn't have an exit where I'm on an island somewhere. Like I just had just enough to be like, I still want to dip my toes. It wasn't my superpower. And it's enough to like try this other business and not go get a full-time job and like help keep the family afloat kind of thing. Like we've got a mortgage and all this stuff, and we just got married. And with this exit though, the problem was that I built the brand so much around me that the 99% of the concerns from buyers was that, oh, you leave, what's happening? I was the face of everything. I did all the things. I didn't know how to hire properly. I didn't know how to delegate. I was like, I can handle it. I'll just write it down. You can figure it out. Like, no one taught me that either. I got a degree in entrepreneurship, and no one taught that like replacement ladder of hiring and delegation and moving yourself outside of the brand. And that's what a real entrepreneur does, is buys back their own time and like all of that theory. And then I was under contract 4 times before the 4th time we sold.
Really?
And the 3rd time fell through the week of my wedding. So I'm like gearing up. I'm ready. It was like this beautiful all cash offer, about to drop the inventory off. And he's like,
no,
yeah,
seriously?
Another one of my businesses went under, so I'm going to need that cash, but let's stay in touch.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
I'm so sorry.
I'm sitting at the kitchen table as I get that email with my family as we're like filling out table place cards, and it's supposed to be this exciting, happy thing. And I'm like, screw, like so upset.
Can we pause on that for a second? So how did you deal with that emotion? How did you deal with that moment?
I bawled my eyes out like a baby because I was so pitied on myself, which was stupid.
Okay, I don't think it's stupid, but continue.
I took it so personally, and that was the problem, is I built the brand so personally. And I didn't set it up in a way as a great business owner. I don't regret what I've learned, what I've done. It was part of where and who I am today. But I couldn't believe how little education existed around the space, and for other business owners to do that and think through that the next part of their legacy doesn't have to be passing down a business. It can be through exit and wealth transfer. And I want there to be more of that. And as I think about this business, it's like, I didn't know what an SOP was before this second business. We had no like core operating procedures and all the things. So
you're just doing it.
It's like we're in this whole next playing field, but I want other people to think about like building, but with an exit in mind.
And so what would your just general advice, like what would be the 1 minute, 60-second overview? You're a new entrepreneur. Like how do you How do you start out thinking about the exit? What's first on the list?
When you think of the foundations of the setup of the business, you're going to want a different legal structure if you do end up wanting to raise money and do high growth. Or if you do get to a certain extent, there are tax benefits for different types and structures, and I won't get into that, but having someone on your side to say, hey, you've reached this level, it might make more sense to either protect or help the business long-term or tax-wise with X, Y, and Z. And then it's also when you're thinking about building and growing the business, if you touch it or do it more than once, it needs a process. It needs a written process, so any person at any point can come in and take over and there be no hiccups. Now, it's not perfect and the business is evolving, but I can't tell you how many team members we've brought on and they go, thank you so much for having all these processes and the outlines and like the super detailed notes about how everything goes, how I work, what things look like. And like our business coach has one that people need to know that he swears and like, you know, stuff like that. So there's even that kind of level of detail of how does the team operate and stuff. And I just wish I did that a lot sooner.
And how have you carried that forward into your new enterprise that you started?
That's what I started in my new like enterprise, like this new business.
It was also, did it become,
I didn't do that in the first business.
Did it kind of also become part of your product, like your service, like building those structures and like just having everything so dialed?
Having more structure, yes. And have you read the book? It's Built to Sell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like that rewired my brain
That's
so much
one.
of how to like make sure things can be copy paste and you're operating in your superpower.
Yeah.
So like, why didn't I read that in school, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wanted to mention a book called Empire Builder, which I think would be an interesting topic. But I wanted to ask, you mentioned you went to school for entrepreneurship?
So I thought I wanted to be in medicine, and I changed my degree after starting the company to entrepreneurship and marketing.
And what was that? Was it mostly marketing, or like what was that experience?
Excellent question.
Because you said like,
I studied
what
I did.
Like I studied
I think
entrepreneurship.
I worked on my
exciting.
business, and then it was like the most BS definitions and tests, and then you had to like start a business. I'm like, wait, can I just work on what I'm already doing? So it was kind of not. Like I had people running marketing plans using my business, and I'm sitting in the back emailing manufacturers.
Like for real?
Oh yeah. So to be honest, I told my parents, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go on Shark Tank, I'm quitting. And they're like, get your butt back in the classroom. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, okay. Like, I thought I was gonna go for it, but I was lucky that my school helped pay for me to go travel and do business pitch competitions. Like even if I won $25,000, they covered the whole trip and I kept that $25K. And then it was great PR for them. And then I'm able to like grow the business and do all this. And then I was playing tennis in college too. And my tennis coach let me go to these business pitches and do that. Like I was so lucky.
So you were going to pitch for money when you were still a student?
Yeah. Because I didn't say this part.
Do you talk about that at all? That you were pitching for money while you were a student in college?
Not really, because I don't service a lot of students per se, but...
I think it's an important part of your it's a zinger. Like...
Really? I lost everything in the business to a fire. My mom's bridal store.
How many people do you know were trying to raise money in college and as students? Do you know a lot of people?
Zero.
I know zero.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it statistically interesting, if nothing else.
Heard. Okay,
please make a note of that. Like that's
okay,
I'm just saying it's so fucking cool that you were like a student, but then a business owner, and you were like, but actually you're more like a business owner who's a student, and then you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go pitch for money, and then
I had nothing. It wasn't. I didn't like it. I wasn't good at it. I didn't enjoy it. I'd actually rather go.
Yeah, but you won like how many pitch slams?
22 of 23.
22 of 23 pitch slams. Holy hell! Was that like your tennis record?
No, I have a better record than
was your
that
tennis
than
record
tennis.
22,
No,
23?
it's not that good.
Like, wow, that's wild. While you were a student.
Yeah.
I closed 22.
Not all while I was a student. It would be like half or so, but
I closed 12 pitch slams while I was a student in college.
I had no money, no connections. I was playing tennis. That was like my job. Was helping pay for school. And so I just did it because it was like, this is it. and you're gonna have to go get a corporate job after this, and that sounds horrible. So suck it up.
I mean, will the real Kat Weaver please stand up? Like, who else is out there? Like, please DM Kat and be like, hey, me too. Because there's like not that many people that are doing what you were doing. It'd be so cool to know them. Because that's like, I feel like that's special. That's like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I'm really lucky for it. I met some really cool people. I got a part of entrepreneur groups where the people, like, they even came to my wedding years later. Like, I met some of the coolest folks through an entrepreneur group that I wish more students did called Future Founders. And they'd fly us out from around the country. They picked like the top 16 student entrepreneurs, and we would meet in Chicago for this 3-day weekend trip. And that opened my eyes, where we were all like, all right, we need a hacker house. We need to all hang out all the time and like build businesses and stuff together. And I wish we did. But I mean, when you're to like speak to environment and like the energy behind stuff, it makes such a difference.
I love that. I love learning about you. This is great. And I hope other people enjoy it.
I'm going to write a book one day. You got any rapid fire?
Hey, it's on my list for next year to start it, not to publish it, obviously, but I want to get it started next year. So that's why I'm building a media team. I wanted to mention the book Empire Builder. So I just started reading that, and forgive me, I don't remember the author's name, but it's a great book. And my other buddy, Brian Franco, also just wrote a book called The Inevitable Exit. Have you heard of that one?
No, but I will read it.
Just published. Let me give it to you. I have a copy with me.
Oh, nice.
Or I can mail you a copy. But he's done over $2 billion in M&A advisory for different industries. And he just wrote a book, so that one's been super interesting. But in kind of both of those, in an Empire Builder, I was learning about this concept, like, because I've always wanted to build multiple companies. Now I'm building a media company, which is totally new. I'm building a personal brand, but I'm still building companies also. And so I started reading about it, and I thought you'd like enjoy this topic, this idea of like, you know, being an entrepreneur is like building and scaling a company, or maybe a few companies, you know, if you're a serial entrepreneur. And empire building is like leveraging strategic multiplication through acquisition. And like, you can grow linearly as an entrepreneur. You can have great CAGR, you know, 20, 30%. But if you grow a base of a company and then you acquire other companies of similar size, slightly smaller, whatever it might be, like your growth rates just accelerate significantly as an overall business, as an empire. And I was wondering what you thought about that idea. And then I had a question for you, because I'm planning to do some empire building as part of my journey of being a corporate guy, an operator, an entrepreneur. And I'm like, okay, I want to transition to empire building. I want to transition to the 8-figure environment. So what do you think about that concept of like entrepreneur versus empire builder?
I wish more people thought that way, because they get caught in the loop of this, where the business runs the entrepreneur. And I think in empire builder, it's flipped, right? Where you're running the empire works for you.
Right.
And so I think that that's a better, more sustainable concept, where you have more opportunity, you can give more back, you can do more, you have more freedom, because that entrepreneur is known as like the hustle and the grind and the chaos and
which it is,
getting punched in the face.
As we know.
It's like, what is it? You're swimming and you're holding bricks and someone hands you another bag of bricks, and it's like you're still trying to stay afloat sometimes. But when you have the empire, it doesn't matter if you lose out, or you've built and protected a foundation that can still service you, and you built the skills to do that, so you're much more able to rebound than the entrepreneur.
It's a powerful idea, right? It's a really powerful idea. So let's say, I want to build a consumer brands world-class agency, a collective of agencies. So my project that I'm working on right now is to acquire companies, marketing agencies and consumer brands that are, probably 1 to 3 million ARR. Put a group of them together to get to about 5 to 7 million as a group collectively in ARR, and then optimize the kind of like shared service model on top for accounting, finance, content marketing, and sales. in admin, like HR or whatever. So like all those smaller companies don't have all that stuff. So I want to build that value structure and then acquire the companies and put them in, and then I would operate them as a holding company. And so I was wondering, A, what do you think about that? I'd love to know your thoughts. And then B, what advice would you give me if I'm like, I want to go raise money to do that or partner with someone to deploy capital to acquire that size of companies? And it's kind of scary. Like I'm a little bit intimidated, but I love the idea of the strategic multiplication.
If you can quit your job without telling your wife and go figure it out, I'm not worried, and that's not fair to say that you're scared. That's totally...
No, but I'm just saying, like, I'm curious what you think, because I think you're a sage at this. Like, what advice would you give
I don't have all the answers of the world, right? But I will say that I think it's a fantastic concept because now you can create more recurring revenue and opportunity. Like,
of course,
you're servicing more for the same client who already knows you and is willing to pay. So I think that's really smart. You can do a lot more. You can have a higher lifetime value of a customer, higher average order value of a customer. Your metrics are going to be stronger.
The ACV is way bigger.
For the money for that, it's not like standard venture capital where you find this fund, you're like, oh, I just need to go raise money. I'm going to go after anyone who has the investor title in their bio and stuff. And I see founders pay for lists of investors by like the thousands, and they blast this out to them thinking, hey, I've got a good deal, someone's gonna bite. And they waste someone told me they spent $7,500 on an email list to 30,000 people.
Email list.
And 0 people replied. I'm like,
ouch.
Do I have to say
so list of don't do's.
So I would say that's like the baseline of that's like not the way to go. Mm-hmm. But when you think about, okay, I wanna find a strategic investor to come into this, it's one I would also think of if you haven't thought of potential debt options.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's one of my questions.
Because debt is cheaper than equity. Now it doesn't have to be all debt. It can even be a combination of debt and capital, so you have more leverage and more share control. Yeah. So don't knock debt. I would actually consider that first on the list. Mm-hmm. The second tier of that is finding an investor who has experience in either the agency model or acquisition specifically. There's actual firms who have that thesis or criteria, because some firms have a specific thesis to the point of like, I invest in this industry with this minimum amount of revenue.
Yeah, I know some of them already.
Yeah, like they're super Marketing niche agency. For a reason. That's a sign of a good investor because they know their strengths versus like, I'm a generalist and I kind of like this idea. It's not a bad thing, but...
So just to make sure I understand, so those kind of specialty capital deployment firms, venture capital, whatever they're called, I would partner with them to fund my holdco structure?
No, so those super niche ones you avoid.
Okay.
You want to only talk to people who have experience in acquisitions or the agency model, or honestly, you might be surprised by the amount of people who have had agency exits who want to be a part of it. And you can put together an SPV, which is a special purpose vehicle for people who aren't familiar, for a collective amount of smaller checks. So it depends how strategic you want to go.
SPV is pretty straightforward to set those up.
Pretty straightforward. You can actually do it on your own on AngelList, or there's some groups who will actually help run the syndicate for you. Literally Google it. They're much more common now, or some groups who will represent you on your behalf, so you don't have to manage it yourself. It really depends, but if you're thinking about the strategy behind it and you just need between 1 to 3 million, it's pretty doable in those scenarios, because a lot of the big funds, that's not enough for them to have skin in the game to even write a check.
Yeah, that's great. And then SPV, what does it mean?
Special purpose vehicle.
Okay.
So it essentially shows up as one line on your company cap table. Cap table is like ownership lines of people. Like it essentially represents one. So if, let's say you have 20 investors and they all wrote small different checks, they're represented as one line on the cap table instead of the 20 people. So it's for a clean cap table. It allows people to write smaller checks, where it's like you had a family and friend, you're like, all right, I'll take the 10K. I know you want to be a part of it, versus someone can put in 100K. You can set the minimum.
So is an SPV, is it kind of a similar container or instrument like a convertible note or a safe note? Or is it like its own entity?
It would be think of it as an individual investor. So it would abide by what the investment vehicle would be, or they can set certain terms if they're the only ones, but essentially you treat the SPV as the individual investor, and it's like there's these sub items who help support the individual investor.
Okay, cool. And then that's a great tip, thank you. I've known some people that have done SPVs. I haven't participated in one myself yet, but that might be a good route. On the debt side, given this kind of like it would be a venture, project, what should I look for debt?
In terms of debt specifically, one, I would say never underestimate the relationship you have with the banker, because they'll work with you on terms, or they get to know you if you've had one, or like old school helps, right? But when you think about debt, a really great person who has more expertise on this, like even if you look at Cody Sanchez stuff, how she leverages debt to buy businesses and do particular loans. Not my area of expertise, like in the super nitty gritty details of it, but I would say don't knock it depending on the size of the business and what's their assets considered. Now it's different from like, hey, I'm buying a laundromat and I have those physical assets versus the business
and
has
tax
certain
returns.
Yes.
That's the part where debt, you kind of like, you have to find some venture
But
debt.
if they're the business is already at a minimum of $1 million in annual recurring revenue, the odds are they've been in business probably over a year on the agency side, maybe even several years if you're looking at some smaller shops who built up. So they should have some of that data or long-standing clients. And if they don't, are they worth acquiring if they don't have any data or growth either?
Yeah, that's a good, I hadn't thought about it that way.
Last quote or line of advice to an entrepreneur who's too scared to take the risk and tell their significant other they want to quit their corporate job and bounce.
I would say borrow my confidence, borrow my hype, and really just get clear on what you want from life. If you pause and you say, okay, I'm gonna design the life that I want to live, unconstrained, dream state, childlike state, like what does it look like? Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Really get locked into that, and then start moving things around, start doing stuff to just like move yourself toward that, move the ball down the field.
I'll leave you with, we suffer more in imagination than reality, because
that's a good one.
Me personally, I put so much external pressure on myself to do X, Y, and Z, when you really take yourself outside of that and you're like, it's figure-outable, it's doable. I've made this up, and that is something I have on my whiteboard in my office.
I love that. That's a good one.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for today.